Hey, it's Leon from the Cackling Jackal. Today I'm doing a paint on, this is Zorumash's figurine for Valenheart. So we've got a Dragonborn fighter here. What I've done is, this is one of the ones you get from, I think it's the Nolan's D&D minis. These are some of the official D&D minis that you can buy. These ones are about $7 for a pack of 2 here in Australia. They say they come pre-primed. However, in my experience, often when I go to paint them straight away, maybe there's a little bit of mold release or something still left on them, and they tend to fisheye. So what I've done with this, I've actually primed it again with a primer. I started with a black undercoat, and then I've kind of gone through and gone like on a 45 with some grey, and then just straight on top with a white. Now what I find that often does is it helps highlight where the shadows are and where the highlights are on it. Doing this kind of gives you a good base, so if you're doing your nice light colours, it should kind of bring through where the shadows and everything are. Anyway, so I'm going to get started painting this. It'll probably take me a little while, so obviously I'm going to have this fast forwarded, but hopefully you guys like it, and I'll show you the finished product. So I've started here by doing a black base. Now whenever I use Citadel paints, I like to thin them out. I usually do a roughly 50-50 water to paint ratio, especially on the first coat. Maybe 2/3, 1/3 kind of ratio. And the reason for this is you want to try and keep as much detail as you can. You're going to be doing quite a few layers of paint over all these minis, and if you start by doing the base coat too thick, or any of the coats really too thick, you're going to fill in all the detail and lose it. So doing it nice and light is my suggestion of way to go. When you do all this, it really pulls in tight into the detail when it dries, which is great. After I've done the black base coat, I go through and I started doing the pants. Now the pants I did out of Gawthorn Brown. That's kind of my go-to when I'm starting to do fabric. I feel like it's a nice leather looking colour, especially by the time you add the nun oil to weather it and then highlights to accentuate certain features. After I've done the pants on Zorumash, I went through and I did the vest. Now the vest I did in Carbolite Green. Now this is honestly one of my favourite colours. I don't know why, but to me whenever I use this, it just looks great whenever you highlight it with either a gold or a copper colour or even silver. You'll kind of notice that all of the minis that I paint tend to have this colour on it somewhere. It's just, seriously, is my favourite colour and my favourite colour scheme, I guess. After I've done the vest though, I moved on to doing some of the detail parts. The metallic paint that I use, which is called Lead Bleacher. Now Lead Bleacher I feel like is a really nice one. It's not too bright, it's got a little bit of grunge to it, and when you go over the sword, I went over the shield, and I think you had a couple of things, I think you had leg braces, bits and pieces like that. It looks awesome, especially when you go over this with the nun oil also. It weathers remarkably well. It gets a nice dull kind of aged looking steel colour to it, but the cool thing is if you ever go back over it when you want to highlight with the exact same colour, it shines really bright, which is really cool. So whenever you're doing the highlighting on that stuff, pretty much go over like the edges of the swords, maybe like the caps of the knee, or anywhere you feel like would get worn. After I've done that, we worked on the shield a little bit further. So the shield, I did the outside highlight in kind of a Balthasar gold. Now to me this actually looks a lot more like a coppery colour. It is technically meant to be a gold, but it's a very brown, dirtier looking gold, and this is honestly my favourite colour. This works really well with the Carbolite Green. The two of them together just look gorgeous. So I did the outside of the shield in this. I also did the belt buckle, the decoration and the edges on the shin guards, and his shoulder pauldrons in this same gold, coppery colour. I didn't really want to go make him look too rich or have too splendid of armour and stuff. Zorumash is a pit fighter. He's grown up fighting in the pits his whole life, and I feel like everything he has would have to be practical. He wouldn't spend extra money on stuff just to look cool. He would probably spend that money on alcohol or gambling. When we finished doing the gold and the silver, I went through, got a little bit of white, we did the eyes. Black Dragonborn, they have acid breath, and it was really, I wanted to kind of accentuate that somehow. So I decided to do that with a mix of Carbolite Green, but I decided to, with the Warpstone, add a little bit of yellow to it, and a little bit of white just to lighten it up, and I did the inside of his mouth that way. That's a really cool way to show that acid is his breath weapon or something of that kind of nature. After that, I went through, we did the whites of the eyes, did the toenails white, because if you don't highlight those, they just get lost in the rest of the mini. And any other little bits of detail we just went over and highlighted. Anyway guys, thank you for watching. This has been my painting of Zorumash. Please like and subscribe, and if you have any comics, please chuck them down below. Thank you.